Hello. Sharon here to do part two. Um, reason I wanted to do this video, and I'm going to do recap what my first video was about. Okay. Um, so this is Nanny Sharon, and I'm sharing my own personal story of a sea monster. What's a sea monster? Sea monster is the word I like Voldemort. I shall not give it a name because I give it no respect. So in 2021, my last video speaking about the sea monster, I was moving, and I was actually moving physical things out of a Honda Element, and the doors closed and gave me an injury. Fell to my knees in pain. Um, Never bruised on the outside. So I wanted to cover a couple of things that I thought it was right out of the gate. I didn't know why for 3 weeks after I had injured it with a hard car door slamming on it. Why was it not bruised? So it was not bruised on the outside of my skin, which was very odd to me. So I was thinking, better go to the doctor and just get it checked. So I went and I had the mammogram done, got, in order to go get it. And then they all freaked out. And they didn't know I had this injury, and that was the reason I was there. I remember having the injury. I mean, if you fall to your knees in pain and tears are coming out of your eyes, you did something bad. I mean, it was so hard that I had been hit on the side by myself, by the door, that it almost knocked the breath out of me. So there are things that I do want to talk about before I go into what I think that likely was and that they could have made a mistake with me. So first, let's just cover my health for my whole life. I've worked hard, physically hard, my whole entire life. I'm not diabetic. I have no alcohol, any kind of abuse to my body, any natural and holistic, pretty much foods. I mean, I don't. I have low mileage, on me, so I don't do a lot to my body to make it unhealthy. I thought too. And I don't really know how the cancer works, honestly, but I can tell you that with that mindset, me going into this, I was thinking, how about my family members? Is there any of my family members that have had it? Well, 3 family members did. My grandmother did, my aunt did, my father did. Uh, so I figured, when they did say it was the cancer, of course, that traumatizes you. I want to just go over that real quick. So when this medical community says you've got to wait for the sonogram for the result, you got to wait for the mammogram for the result, you got to wait for the biopsy the result. You have no idea what that does to you emotionally. What this does to the people emotionally. It's very hard. So I did want to cover that my health has always been really great. I've only had 2 surgeries in my whole life. A deviated septum was a little bone on the side that was on my nose that needed fixing, and I had that done. And my gallbladder, my full gallbladder was removed. So pretty much that's it. And so I consider myself really healthy. My hair is healthy, my teeth are healthy, and my family's all real healthy. So I do want to cover a couple of things, what I think the definition of cancer, in a way, is an area of blood, is an area of cells that are growing rapidly. But there are 2 other considerations that they never considered, which kind of upsets me. I thought a cyst can be big. It can start as a pea and go big as a lemon. And so can a hematoma bruise. A cyst is usually filled with fluids, and a hematoma is usually a bruise to the skin of some sort, the atmosphere skin, and the blood vessels get hard And I do believe, really, in the end of the day, that's probably what ended up happening to me. Um, so, what I ended up doing is right before the surgery, she offered me radiation. And I just want to be clear that I had something growing. They had no time to do me any sooner, and I only had an option of this one surgeon to take care of my tumor. So I had to wait patiently. But she did offer me radiation, but we all know it alters your DNA. You don't know it alters your DNA. It makes you more susceptible in the future to cancers returning. So radiation is not a good idea, in my view. You can do it. I didn't do it. I refused it. I just let it keep growing. It also burns when they put this directly on your skin. They can burn like little holes in the side of you, and it kills all the good tissue as well. So it does kill cancer cells. Radiation does kill cancer cells, but it also kills good cells. So I knew in my head, it's going to kill the good stuff. And I grew up in the 60s, and we were always afraid of radiation from the Bay bombs, which we always thought were coming. We always thought were coming, but they didn't come. Thank God. So anyhow, hematomas and cysts are encapsulated, which mine was. So I'm just going to go a little in depth about what happened when she came in after my surgery. So she came in the room after my surgery, my surgeon, and she said, Sharon, she said, I said, how were the lymph nodes? And she said, they're negative. And I said, negative? That's great. And then I said, around the tumor itself, they take it out and then they clean the margins. It was negative. So it was negative margins, negative lymph nodes, 6 of them she removed. And I'm not going to lie. I believe they made a mistake. I believe that I had a cyst or a hematoma of some sort, because she said, oh, it was the weirdest thing. My whole team couldn't believe how the minute they popped it out, everything just went back to normal, and you don't have a hole. And I was like, well, that's great. Sounds like it was just what I think. She said, no, 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 I disagree. It is not what you're thinking. It's not you having that injury. She insisted, no, it has to be the cancer. And then she tried to say to me, Sharon, I went back after the surgery, everything healed up great. And I was moving. All my stuff was here already, so I wanted to get here to Florida. And she said, well, do you want to do 4 weeks of chemotherapy and then do some hormonal treatment? And I said, thank you very much. You've done a great job. You took out the pain that was causing me pain, but I'm going to go from my own way from this point on. And she did not like, and this is what I want you to know, is you have to find your own voice for your own health. You can let them follow, you can have them lead you around and tell you what to do, but I've watched 4 of my best friends with cancer have a stomach removed, end up on morphine drip, and die in 6 weeks. I watched other friends. The chemotherapy is good. I'm sure some people say it's great and it's working great for them, but you have to understand it's a form of rat poison. It is a poison. It wants to kill all of the bad cells, but it kills a lot of the good cells. So when you're in there killing the good cells, you're bringing the immune system down. I'm 6 lymph nodes down. I'm 6 lymph nodes down from what I'm supposed to have right now. But let's talk about the next thing. What did I do in my treatment to move forward? Well, I did talk about my church and praying all the time, and I had a great support system, a lot of great friends. I had the church. Of course, I didn't tell any of the church, but I told them when it was all over that all of it was negative, and I said, praise God that he made everything negative. I guess he has some more stuff for me to do here on this planet. So I was really happy. I guess it has to do with dogs. I hope it has to do with dogs. But he was pretty much, when all of that came down and it was all negative, I was really happy. So then I went and I moved to another state, and I waited 2 years before going back. 2 full years, and I treated myself. What did I do? Okay, so let's talk about the things that you need to do. What if you do have cancer or you don't have cancer? Our world today is the different world than I had when I was growing up in the 60s. So what is it different that we have today that we didn't have then? Well, I can tell you that from head to toe, I started changing everything. Um, I started changing the shampoo that I use. I started changing the toothpaste that I use. I started changing the deodorant that I use. I stopped using any hairspray, and I try to look for holistic ways of um, of using things on my body. So everything that goes on your body, I started getting really very cleansing. I said, you know what, Sharon, let's take 6 months and clean your whole body out. So I did a full detox. There's all kinds of detox on there. Some people like ivermectin. Some people use what works for you. Detox your body, but your body needs to be detoxed. If you have a cancer, if you have a cyst, you have any of this, I do recommend. And I like Epsom salts. I like to desalt myself once a month. I soak out all my in, if you don't know, you're accidentally ingesting plastics and aluminum all the time, and that's not good for your body. So your body's on a full immune assault all the time, and that's why I really, if I didn't have to have those lymph nodes taken out, I would have really preferred you didn't, because your body's immune system is really important. And I really wished that I didn't lose them, but I did, and there's nothing I can do. I can tell you the tumor is out. And I went last week for my new sonogram, and I won't ever have a mammogram again. I can do another video about that, but sonogram is so much better. Now, there's different types of tissues for women. They have a dense breasts and other types of breasts, but mine were dense, so it was harder for them to see things in. Um, but that's what I had, breast cancer. So, anyhow, I'm going to talk about the tea from this fabulous woman in Canada in, I believe, the 50s, 40s and 50s. A nurse that was working in a community hospital. She met an Indian woman from a local tribe in Canada, and her name, the nurse's name was Rene Caisse, and it's spelled Renecaisse. And so what happened was my friends were like, Sharon, man, do you know about the tea? Do you know about the tea? And I was like, what tea? They said, well, in Canada, all the Indians used it for decades. Don't you know about Renee's story? And I was like, no, I don't really know about Renee's story. What's Renee's story? Rene Caisse was a nurse that worked in a general hospital as a staff nurse, emergency room nurse. She met a little Indian lady, and a little Indian lady had a cut on the side of her breast. And she went in, she saw her, doing a physical, doing all her, her vitals and everything. And she said, what is that from? And she says, oh, I had a lump there like 20 years ago. She says, well, you're like 70 now. She says, yeah, it was like a lump. And she said, oh, really? And she says, yeah, the Indian tribe believed it was a type of a cancer. So cancer's been around forever. It isn't just starting, it's been around. And she said, what he did was he cut it out, and then he gave me teas, and I drank this tea every day, and I still drink it. So I love it. So I do believe right away I went out and researched this, and there is a Rene Caisse, and her story is fabulous. And she was in Canada, and she opened her own clinic. She retired from that clinic, that hospital, and went and opened her own clinic and healed thousands and thousands of people with her tea. I'm not saying it's for everybody. I'm saying most cancer she was able to um, to cure. I did find this interesting. Sloan Kettering and the New York City big medical centers were going to do a case study on her and this tea. And in the middle of the case study, because she wanted to get, start selling the tea, this recipe to help cancer, because she was only about helping the cancer. And Sloan Kettering and all these other hospitals turned down the case study, and then they stopped it. They tried to stop her dead to rights and tried to start pulling her licenses and giving her a hard time. So what's in it is burdock root, slippery elm, sheep sorrel, and rhubarb root. Now, do I still drink this? Yes. Do I get this from an herb place? There was a place called Sugarloaf Mountain Herbs in Sugarloaf, New York, that you can actually get a hold of, and she'll mail it to you. She will mail it to you. You can get it online in a little brown bottle. It's glass, not plastic. You don't get healthy things out of plastic. And let's just be real. I have also started to switch from plastics to glass. I have a new pitcher that I just bought for teas and lemonades, and all the lemon teas or cucumber and lemon tea whenever I want to drink something. I've been switching out of plastic and going to glass. Water bottles with a lot of plastic is not good. Your body can't process plastic. So, you know, what I did is I cleansed myself for many months. I tried to de-stress myself. I told you my hair fell out all the way down almost to, I mean, I cannot believe this head of hair. I've had this crazy hair my whole life, but I cannot still believe that my hair fell out from stress from all of this. So I went through such traumatic situation from the moment it happened to the moment it was removed. And then I said to myself, Sharon, you're going to try to, you know, take good care and clean your body, clean your health. And I was, it would help if you exercise. It does help if you do that. I'm not great on the exercise end, but do as much exercise as you can. Cleanse your body. Stop putting things in it and on it. Lotions, colognes, sunblocks. If you look on it, there's all kinds of natural and holistic ways for sunblocks. There's all kinds of uh, shampoos that you can use that are, there's even makeups now they make that are called vegan. I use vegan eye makeup. My eye makeup is vegan. So it costs more money, but if you want to live, and I do believe God has a plan for me. And when I came here, it was a very difficult landing. I stayed with one friend for maybe 4 months, and then I got out on my, it took me a little while to get on my feet and get my business rolling in a whole nother state. And it's growing. And I am also very grateful to all I think I have 140 followers now. And by the way, thank you all. I love that you're all following me. And I think that's great. But I wanted to share this with you. And I do want to tell you that I am grateful to the medical community for removing that tumor. But that is all I allowed them to do. And you have to be sure that all the decisions that you make about your life, that you're careful about. Just remember, the commercials that you see that have all the drug commercials on it, like take this Viagra, it'll get little blue pill, it'll be great. Yeah, 5 hours later, you're having side effects. I mean, there are side effects to everything you do, and for cures, there are side effects. So really think hard about how you treat it. Now, I am going to come back. I did speak about Rene Caisse, and I'm going to write her name on the video somewhere, even in the description or something. I'll put her name, the names of these herbs, the teas that you can pick up. You cannot pick this up in Publix, Winn-Dixie, Aldi's, Walmart. You pick this up in a fine health food store, and go to the health food store and pick alternatives. And all of these things also come in a liquid. I take slippery elm root regularly, and I just drop it in things. I'll be cooking something and drop it a little bit in there. Like I do that with magnesium. I have a magnesium liquid. I drop magnesium liquid in there. But your minerals in the body is really important. And if once you have your lymph nodes messed with, once you have less lymph nodes than you're supposed to have, that means your immune system is not working at 100% because it can't. And I hear you have I think it's 100 or 200 lymph nodes you have. But I didn't want to lose any, but I did. So I wanted to come and share that my sonogram came back negative and clear, and that As of right now, everything in my body is operational. I went for a full physical. So from head to toe, my sugars, my bloods, vitamin D, I have to get in the sun more because I'm too white. Um, but vitamin D is something that I was being told, and vitamin D has to do with your immune system. So I'm going to pump up my vitamin D and study everything. Make sure that you just don't take any diagnosis, go home and research and start freaking out. Don't do that. They make mistakes. They make them all the time. It might be you they're making the mistake on. I'm not saying deny treatments. I'm saying there is one or two, there is right now, today, as we speak, they're looking into freezing cancer tumors in your body, freezing it. They're looking into, and I mean freezing it at a high temperature, freezing it to kill it. There are so many new treatments. Chemotherapy and hormone therapy, all of that isn't the only way. I don't want anybody messing with my hormones. I do not want testosterone in my body if I can help it. No, I have estrogen, and if it's low, I'll work it out. But I'm not, and here's my disclosure, I am not a doctor. This is my physical experience in my life that happened to me, and you can listen to me or you can not. But I hope it's something that can help you make a decision about your life that might save your life. And so I'm 5 years now, almost five. So 21, 22, 23, 24, 26. So almost 4 or 5 years now. I'm really good and I'm happy. And I don't believe that at the end of the day, whether it was a cyst, because I didn't see it, it got sent to California, it came back, and they said a lot of things about it. I did a genetic workup on it, but it wasn't anything to freak out. And I never had like 4 or higher or any of that. I think if you catch your cancer early, you can treat it and you can do great things. If you do catch it late, I think that's great. I'm not sure all of my ideas will work with you and chemotherapy, because chemo's so busy at killing all the good things in your body. I think that is a choice you have to make. So anyway, that's the end of my video today. This one was long. This is part 2. And that's the end of my cancer story. Okay, bye.